What's up, Space Pirates? This is your captain, the chronically charismatic Dr. Disaster, and it apparently wasn't enough that Ncuti Gatwa, the 15th Doctor Who, dismissed anyone with complaints about the series, telling them to turn off the TV and touch grass. Hell, it wasn't enough that another actor from the show, Jynkx Monsoon, told everyone, if you don't watch the show, then we don't need you.
Where did everybody go?
Well, we're over here touching grass, guys, just like you asked. The first 2 episodes of the new Doctor Who had the worst overnight ratings in the history of the 60-year-old show. But like I said, it wasn't enough that those actors said what they said, driving people away from the franchise. No, Russell T Davies, the writer for most of these new episodes, decided to belittle anyone who disagrees with him as well. What do you guys think here? Is that gonna lure you back to the show?
How about no, you crazy dumb bastard?
Alright, me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We just hit another subscriber milestone, so longtime viewers will know what time it is. It's time to ask the following question.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
We now have 28,000 space pirate a-holes in this fleet, and as is customary on the channel, with every 1,000 subscribers, I add another ship to the fleet in order to house the newcomers. And since we've been discussing Doctor Who a lot lately, I thought it would be fun to add a classic Who ship. This right here is an old Cyberman spaceship that I always thought looked cool, but in any event, I thank all of you for subscribing.
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
Anyhow, let's see what Russell T Davies had to say about fans who protest his ridiculous approach to the series these days. We're going to read about it in this article from Bounding Into Comics. The headline says, Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies dismisses critics of his decision to focus series on queer themes. In dark little corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. In the opinion of showrunner Russell T Davies, the bevy of criticisms leveled toward his decision to make queer themes a central focus of Doctor Who are not only inconsequential, but ultimately detached from fan sentiment in the real world. Davies offered this defense of his latest take on the Time Lord during a May 2024 interview given to Collider's Samantha Casey in promotion of Doctor Who's return to the airwaves. At one point, making note of how the show just keeps leaning more into queer themes and everything, especially since the specials, Casey eventually asked Davies if he could speak about leaning into that more intentionally, to which the showrunner replied, "It's funny because, to be absolutely honest, it's almost not that deliberate because that's the life that I lead." Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit. This clip that I'm about to show you is about as forced and unnatural as it gets. People simply do not speak this way in real life.
Henry, get away from him. Them. What?
Me.
What?
I'm them.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter.
Trying to shoehorn this gender shit into the show and telling us it isn't deliberate is about as believable as anyone who says they enjoy watching this show these days. But this is par for the course when you think about it. From what I've seen of the show so far, Ncuti Gatwa doesn't play a character, he basically just plays himself. So Russell might as well not write a story about a time-traveling alien. He may as well write about shit from his own life. As I've said many times, this show is no longer Doctor Who. It deserves to be called Doctor...
What the hell is even that?
not?
But let's read a little bit more from the article. It says, I wrote a series called Queer as Folk in 1999 that broke down many barriers, and I'm never going to step back from that, he continued. In fairness, no one's ever asked me to step back from that, and I just think it doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It feels natural. It's 2024, and we're all embracing this. Twitter might kick off, and in dark little corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. The real world is one of acceptance, and with battles to be fought and votes to be gained. Somebody has been stuck in an echo chamber a bit too much, it would seem. Might I recommend, my dude, that you go and touch grass? Seriously, it feels really nice on your toes, and I have been reliably informed that it's better than worrying about all this Doctor Who nonsense. But let's push back against his claims that out in the real world, people love this crap. Look at that Rotten Tomatoes score. The audience score is at 32%. People hate this shit. Sure, the critics love it. They give it a 95, but that right there, that is the echo chamber. Those are the people telling Davies that he's doing great. But let's look at another review aggregator, shall we? Because Rotten Tomatoes does everything they can to protect anything made by Disney. Let's look at Metacritic, where the premiere of the show sits at a 72 out of 100 from the critics, but the audience give it a wretched 2.8 out of 10.
Well, that's fucking not good.
Let's read a little of what the audience had to say. I'm sure it'll be full of effusive praise out there in the real world. The first one on the list gave it a 0 and says, one of the worst written, most blatant political shows I've seen, and I have watched Fox News and CNN, and I get that things can be political, but this doesn't try to hide or balance it with a good story or writing. It's just blatantly politics and bad writing. And then this person also gave it a 0 and wrote, LMAO, I mean seriously, this franchise is completely dead. If their mission was to achieve franchise extinction, mission accomplished. And then here's another 0. And just as a heads up, I'm literally not even curating what I see. I'm just going down the list of all these reviews in the order that they were written and reading them. And then this next one gave it a 1 out of 10. And then we get another 0 and another 0. And then a 1, a 0, another 1, and another 0. And I like what this guy wrote. He said, for destroying such an established franchise that had 60 years of relevance, this deserves a negative 10. They really went out of their way to hate this show and its audience. But then, finally, after this comment, we run into somebody who lives in Russell T Davies' real world. This guy gave it a perfect 10. He said, it's certainly not traditional Doctor Who, but it's exciting, vibrant, and so much fun.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
Clearly, Davies is full of shit. He lives in his little bubble and thinks that is what people want because nobody has the balls to argue with him. And one more thing I'd like to point out from that quote in the article, let's pull it back up here and look at this. He said, the real world is one of acceptance and with battles to be fought and votes to be gained. Keep in mind, he said this in reference to how his work feels completely natural to him, and this is the stuff he writes about, and he is clearly telling us that he is all about harvesting votes. Anytime anyone tries to argue that this woke shit that we see on TV isn't overtly political, pull out this quote and watch them jump through hoops trying to justify it. This guy is not interested in telling us fun stories. He's interested in pushing people into voting how he wants them to. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you think of what Russell had to say about the people complaining about his show? Does he have a point? Are channels like mine just a dark corner of the internet? Or is he completely full of shit? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.